February 5th, 2016, Day 1. The entrance to the Lily mine shaft collapses. Rescue teams are dispatched. 76 workers are evacuated without serious injury. Priti Nkambule, Solomon Nyerende and Yvonne Mnisi, who were on duty in the lamp room, are trapped. Their container office is swallowed by a massive sinkhole, taking the structure 60 meters underground. Lily Mine in Louisville, outside Barberton in Mpumalanga, is owned by Vantage Goldfields, an Australian company. Day 4, February 8, 2016. Rescue workers hear knocking from below the debris. Heat sensors and motion detectors confirm that at least one of the trapped miners is still alive. Dehydration is the main concern, as the container holds oxygen and light, but no water. February 9th, 2016, Day 5. Rescue teams come across surface debris. Only 15 meters of debris between the rescue workers and the trapped miners. There are high hopes that the container will be reached during the night. February 11th, 2016, Day 7. There has been no contact in the preceding 48 hours with the container. February 13, 2016, Day 9. There is confirmation of a second collapse during the night. There are no injuries. All rescue operations are halted until the area is declared safe by experts. Media is allowed inside the mine premises for the first time. February 15, 2016, Day 11. Geologists declare that the rescue mission is too dangerous. The search for the container is postponed and eventually abandoned. To this day, the 3 miners lie buried beneath thousands of tons of rocks and sand.
And good evening and welcome back to your view with me on JJ Tabane. We commemorate tonight the lives of 3 miners trapped under the Lily mine out in Mpumalanga. And joining me to understand and reflect on this is Joseph Mathunjwa, the president of AMCU. Finally, thank you for coming to visit us, man.
Thank you very much for inviting me after such a long time.
Yeah, unfortunately under quite a cloudy and dark day indeed, you know. How do you explain 4 years of workers stuck underground in a sophisticated economy that South Africa is? A relatively sophisticated mining industry with world-class equipment, right, with billions of rands on their balance sheet, to fail to retrieve bodies in a mine. I am puzzled and baffled there, Joseph. Please make me understand.
I think there is no words that I can have to explain the situation, rather than saying it's the state that neglects its own responsibility. This thing is above regulatory and what. If a person, a citizen died, it is a responsibility of the state to see to it how to recover or how to do something with regard to the situation. Like for instance, let's look at Parktown Boys High. It's a state that was responsible with their divers to retrieve the body of the young boy who died. May his soul rest in peace.
Yes.
It's a state responsibility. The question why at Lily Mine, the state...
Same difference, man.
Exactly.
Yeah,
yeah, it's same difference. Yeah, exactly. Lily Mine and Lonmin. So therefore, the state neglect its own responsibility. There is no political will. It's not that this state does not have money. Yes, the economy is bad, but with this sophisticated equipment that these mines they have, billions of rands in their balance sheet, we needed only 200 million to sink a shaft.
You are joking.
200 million that was needed.
It's peanuts for the mining industry.
For 4 years ago, 200 million was needed. I appealed to the former state president, Babu Zuma. I have written to him, no response. Current state president, current DMRE minister, Babu Kwete Mantashe, no response. So now, where to from here?
I cannot believe what you're telling me. Because I thought maybe this thing was going to cost billions. That's why nobody has ventured to do it. I mean, if every mining company, as a sign of goodwill, just donated 20 million, they could easily sink that shaft. And can you imagine the goodwill that would generate?
But remember, as you correctly saying earlier on, who are those people who are there? What race are they? Are they black? I mean, it's a cheap labor. We can replace you, irrespective. And it's a negligence of the DMRE of not having enough inspectorate doing their job with all these mines, checking health and safety of the mine workers.
But also, if all else failed, I mean, are you telling me that a disaster like that, let's assume that it was not 3 people, it was 10 people, right? Would that have changed things in your view? Would the DMR have looked into his budget and say, let's take 200 million and rescue those people?
But it could have been, but depends which race. As you stated earlier on, if it was a CO, mine manager, whatever engineers, white in color, I'm telling you, 24 hours, 48 hours. Maximum, that container could have been retrieved underground.
They could have done anything, man.
They could have done anything. They've got all the expertise, these guys.
They could have even built a tunnel, man, to go and retrieve.
They normally build those tunnels? Huh?
No, Joseph, we're in trouble, eh? Does this continue to show us, as it did in Marikana, right? Because remember when Marikana came, we then got to discover that since 2003, when the mining charter was put on the table,
yeah,
actually things had worsened in terms of the state of, just the state of living, the living conditions of workers and so on. It looked like quite a scandal, because they managed somehow to be off the radar, to be off scrutiny of the public. And then it took a tragedy of 34 miners killed for us to discover what was going on there. Does this Lily Mine incident show, in a sense, the unpatriotic nature of the mining industry? That all they're interested in is to dig up the gold and the platinum, ship it away, make the profit, and shut down and leave in its wake, deserted towns, things like that.
But really, at this point in time, should we blame the mining houses? I don't think that is fair. We should blame our government. It is our government responsibility. It shows that clearly the business has got an upper hand to the nation. The business people, they can do whatever it pleases when it comes to a black man in South Africa. It shows clear, it exposes that we don't have a government. The government is run by capitalists. Clear white monopoly is running the country. I've said it many times. The CEO of these mines, they are powerful more than the ministers of the government. The way they are so powerful. Huh?
This is shocking.
The government does not have power over these mines. The mines have got power over the government.
Is it true? And I hope it's not, really. In preparing for tonight, I came across an article that stated that the DMR did an investigation and found that this mine had done everything that was wrong when it comes to safety, right? But nobody has been prosecuted. And when the NPA was asked, they said because there's no docket, nobody opened a case. How can this be true?
I mean, NPA, they cannot prosecute a white man. If it was a black man who was the mine manager or who was a CEO, that could have been. The problem, McChesney is a white man. They cannot. They will chase the investors away from the country. There will be no BE. Yeah? There will be no BE in the mining. These guys will pull the plug and they go away. So it's a black man who's trapped underground. That's all. And then the next thing, if you take McChesney, put him, in jail, that means there will be a boycott of investment. You see, Africa is starting now to chase away investors. Investors are more important than us. In the actual fact, we don't need the world. The world needs Africa. We don't need the world. What do they have? What do they have? They've got nothing. We've got everything, but we are the poorest of the nation in the world. It is a scam. This is an insult. We've been reduced as if we are subhuman. Always we must worship other race. We've got all the wealth in this country. Always they go to Davos to sell the minerals of the country. I'm saying, leaders of Africa, stop pricing Africa. Stop pricing Africa. The investors, we need to dictate terms, not them dictating terms to us. If one CEO can wallop over 100 million per annum, paying workers 6,000 rand, dying every hour, losing limbs, silicosis, and the government is quiet about that. Huh? How can a CEO earning more than the state president, using the minerals, is not a confectionery kind of bakery there? No, it's a minerals, and the minerals belong to the people of the country. The state is a custodian of the minerals, but the minerals are used to oppress the majority of black people. You've got a shaft of the gold here, 300 meters. You've got a mother who's carrying a baby at a bag, a beggar on a what? On the four-way stop. But there is a shaft of gold. What does it mean? Look at the community. Go to Carltonville. Sinkholes. No shambles. Who's leading the country?
And you've got these social complaints that they just ignore. They run off after they leave these ghost towns. It's just bad. But just quickly coming back to the DMR issue, what has been their response? Because this is squarely in their area of work. This is their job. What have they said to you when you were calling for this rescue issue? What did they give an excuse? Did they respond, or did they just ignore you?
Firstly, the excuse was, yes, we have to have an inquiry in terms of Mental Health and Safety Act. Yes, we did. We employed the service of Richard Spohr, which it took them for a run, and then subsequent, the matter was referred to NPA recommendation for prosecution, of which even ourselves, we don't even have even the outcome of the inquiry. But the fact of the matter, indeed, the DMRE is the one who issues the licenses.
Yes.
Is the one who's a regulator. Is the one who can call the shot. But they cannot, because the economy does not belong to us. No, it doesn't belong to us.
I want to talk a little more after the break about the issue of mine safety now. We had Sibaye, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Sibaye Gold. 27 people dying over a year period in those mines. And then we've got this Lily mine issue. None of these mining companies, in my view, and I may be wrong, even had a threat of their license being taken away, despite those lives being lost. After the break, we talk about that. You can give us a ring as well if you want to share your views or with us on 010-594-5140. Let's take a break now.
Lily Mine, the recovery mission. February 13th, 2016. There will be no ounce of gold before the container. These are one of several promises made by the many politicians that visit the Lily Mine community, since 3 mine workers were trapped in the container office that plunged into a sinkhole on February the 5th, 2016. April 7th, 2016. 2 months since the collapse, Lily Mine applies for business rescue in a bid to resume operations, while efforts to find the 3 trapped miners remain suspended. The closure has impacted the lives of 850 miners and their families. March 12, 2018. The Department of Mineral Resources concludes its report and finds that the mine was not designed for safe operation as provided for in the Mine Health and Safety Act. The department hands its report to the National Prosecuting Authority, but never lays charges, making it impossible for the NPA to act. April 1st, 2019. The families of the 3 buried miners lay culpable homicide charges against the directors of Vantage Goldfields at the Lowe's Creek Police Station. December 20th, 2019. Come deaths or arrests, we are ready. Frustrated by promises that never materialize, former Lily Mine employees and community members vowed to retrieve the bodies of the 3 buried miners. January 17th, 2020. The bodies of 2 illegal miners are discovered at Lily Mine. This sets in motion a police investigation, forcing former mine workers to suspend their mission to retrieve the bodies of their 3 trapped colleagues. February 5th, 2020. 4 years later, the mine remains closed and the container buried. The families of the deceased miners have now been camping outside the mine for 286 days. A court order has instructed them to stay 1,000 meters away from the mine. They wait and pray for the day that they will be able to bury their loved ones with dignity. Vantage Goldfields has made 4 attempts to sell Lily Mine. Without an investor, Lily Mine's business rescue cannot be implemented. Despite its 4.9 million tons of ore reserves that could be mined for another 11 years, the mine remains closed.
All right, we continue that conversation about the Lily Mine, the tragedy of Lily Mine, 4 years on, and those bodies still trapped in that mine and no hope in sight. What do you think should be done before we get to the issues of general mine safety? In the Lily Mine situation, what should be done right now?
The government must take full responsibility, dispatch the team, appoint the contractors to go and open the shaft, retrieve that container, and the case will be closed with the family, and then we start the mining. I mean, we talk about unemployment in this country.
Yeah.
You've got minerals that are sitting there that could create jobs for the families, or even for the community, and even for the government itself in terms of.
So what has happened to jobs there? Are those people fired as a result of the closure there or the suspension of?
Because of business rescue, yes, they are semi-dismissed. But however, they still got a contract of employment under the business rescue.
Yeah.
Whoever takes the mine should pay whatever areas that those workers are being owed. Exactly.
But there's a danger of those jobs never materializing again.
Yeah, I mean, but also depends with the government. The government, I mean, currently, if you listen to the Minister of DMRE, is talking about artisanal mining. Why can't we use that Lily Mine as a project, as an A project of artisanal mining at the end of the day? The government take it, must retrieve, revoke the license, take it back to them, empower the community, have that, artisanal mining as a project to start that, because this is our money at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Tell me now, in terms of mining safety, do you think that the industry overall takes the issue of health and safety as seriously as they should, number one? Number two, do you think that DMR has teeth in terms of its inspectors and so on to in a sense, keep the mining industry in line, right, in as far as health and safety is concerned?
You know, the issue of health and safety, to me, it's like a tick-box exercise. The DMR cannot have power. Being a regulator, being a license holder, or the persons who issue the licenses of the mining. At the same time, they are concerned about the investors. Every country that its economy is based, or it's supported by 80% or 70% of foreign income, that country is exposed, to be captured by foreign investors. Let's take, for instance, history. Ken Saro-Wiwa, what happened to him? As an activist fighting Shell, because Nigeria by then, 80% of their economy was anchored by a foreign income, and then he was hanged, and there was no consequences as such. So South Africa government cannot have power because the economy, it's more of foreign direct investments. So we don't have what we own. We also always, our economy is anchored by foreign investors. So they've got an upper hand. So if you will say you clamp down on issue of safety and start prosecuting, as AMCO is campaigning for the amendment of Mine Health and Safety Act, we are saying the COs, those who are appointed in terms of Mine Health and Safety Act, they must be prosecuted.
Must be held personally liable.
But they won't do it because it's an issue of foreign direct investors that they'll run away. So therefore, they don't have a team. How many of the CEO have been put before the court after all the results of the deaths that are happening? Yeah. And some of the deaths are reputable. Some of the deaths are man-made deaths. People are forced to work under a very unsafe conditions. They will say you've got a right, to move away or to what's name from the unsafe condition, but there are no guideline procedures. Workers are being dismissed sometimes for not allowing themselves to expose themselves in a dangerous situation because the Section 23 doesn't say what are the guidelines. Yeah. So therefore, the government does not have teeth. Nothing.
I assumed, like in the airline industry, for example, I assume that, mine health and safety is key because by the very act of mining is so dangerous, You're sinking a shaft that's sometimes how many kilometers?
4 kilometers.
4 kilometers, down. That's huge. I mean, if something happens to you, even when you are 2 kilometers down, your chances of coming up, are almost zero.
Zero, yes.
So one assumes that the mining industry, first of all, takes that extremely seriously. But secondly, that the license conditions must necessarily be linked to how safely you are mining. Why is it that issue not being elevated to the highest level in government?
No, they cannot, as I've said it earlier on, because our economy depends on foreign investors. So if you're trying to tighten the screw, they will say, no, we go to West Africa. That is where we are going. So if you don't relax your legislations, so we pack our bags and go. Because they've already looted the country. Then they will go to West Africa and continue. Because that's the nature of capitalism. It's brutal. It does not have nerves, feelings, nothing. Sure. So therefore, to kill 10 black people underground is nothing. Because the next thing you will replace, if you look at the number of people who are employed, millions that are not employed. So it's easy to replace because those people are not skilled. For instance, if my father has been a miner, I'm making just an example, 3 generations, but in my family there is no engineer. But when you go to the white people, from the 3 generations you'll find there's a manager, there's an engineer. There is something terribly wrong because it's not meant to build you, it's not meant to give growth to you, it's not meant to develop you, it's meant you just to mine.
Do you think that the heartlessness of capital, right, has also made, it has also sort of blunted our activism? And I'll tell you why I'm asking that, right? 3 of your colleagues are stuck in a mine. They are not being retrieved. Surely the first thing that should come to our mind is, tomorrow it may be me. Why is it that AMCU, COSATU, SAFTU, all of you haven't brought the country to a standstill to demand that those miners be retrieved?
One will be the political will. 2, look how the capital, they are controlling the state. And even they want to reduce labor unions into a labor desk, as they did with these other federations. The once glorified federations. So now they are saying before you go on strike, you must have a secret ballot. And all those amendments, the government was pro to it because that was the only trade union that AMCU that can push it. We had a 5-month strike. That 5-month strike resulted in economic emancipation of the mine workers. So it's difficult now to go on strike. You have to have the ballot, you must have independent electorate, and all those things they put it for to blunt activism, as we are saying. They make it so difficult. I think what we need here in South Africa, we need a rebellion. We need
a rebellion. That one is my theme.
I'm telling you.
But why on the Lily? Because I'm so frightened for the workers, right? Not just at Lily Mine, but in the mining industry, to say they have been shown in their faces that your lives don't matter, right? Your lives don't matter. And I'm saying that even with the things that you have raised, has there been some kind of a meeting of minds of the labor unions to say, guys, this is serious. You know, our colleagues are stuck there. No matter there are three, one life lost is one life too many. Right? Why, in your view, other than those laws that have just been introduced maybe a year ago or last year, actually, this Lily Mine thing happened 4 years ago.
4 years ago, yes. Correct.
On the same week where they said abandon, I think it was in 2 months, they said no, abandon
everything. Yes.
That's when the country should have come to a standstill. Do you think that, in a sense, labor unions have lost their touch when it comes to bringing this country to its knees if something that is anti-workers is promoted like we see in this case?
Yeah, I think you are correct. I mean, after 1994, I mean, unionism and militancy, I mean, it died. It died. And then when we came in as AMCO, media was lambasting AMCO. AMCO is not sensitive to the economy, the GDP of the country. Look at this Mathunjwa. Hey, it's staying in the fence. He's exploiting mine workers. I mean, the same media. I mean, so when we were pushing hard in terms of activism and militancy, fighting spirit of the trade union, we were lambasted right, left, center, and God. So I think...
I say that the media is also at fault for your poor activism now.
Exactly. I mean, in particular for AMCO. I mean, every media house was lambasting AMCO, was demonizing AMCO like you cannot believe. I mean, even SACP, I mean, in Marikana, what's name, massacre. The vanguard of the working class was the one who was demonizing AMCO. You could see people are lost. And they are slipping through the revolution at the end of the day. I think maybe SAF2, I can speak to SAF2. Maybe SAF2 and NUMSA, they can do something with AMCO. But these other ones are...
You think
bad time.
There's still something on there. I want to talk about. We're going to continue for another 15 minutes. So do stay tuned. After the news or headlines, I want to ask whether or not, right, what's the assessment of AMCO on what's the so-called minerals council? They've changed their name now. A chamber of mines.
I don't even recognize the thing.
So I want you to tell me what you think of what they are doing. Secondly, in terms of way forward, do you think there is something else that can be done from the ground up? You raised the issue about government must put money to sink the shaft. You know, the DMR must crack the whip. But what about from the ground up? Is there something that you think communities, workers together can do to solve this? Or are we going to count next year to say, oh, it's now 5,000 days since these people are stuck underground? We're going to talk about that, but let's take a break now. Thank you so much, Carmen, for those headlines. As I said, our newsmakers tonight, Solomon Nyirende, Yvonne Mnisi, as well as Pritin Kambule, stuck in a mine, in a container. And I asked the question earlier, if it was white people stuck there, just one engineer maybe who went there to accompany the workers, would the industry not have spent 200 million rand to blast, to create a tunnel, to sink a shaft? Anything but 1,461 days later of nothing. Tell me, send me, maybe call me. Maybe I'm being, pessimistic. But you can give us a ring. Tell me what you think. Send us your tweets as well at JJ Tabane at Newsroom 405. Mathunjwa, Minerals Council, or formerly known as the Chamber of Mines, surely, as a collective of the mining industry, they should have done something about this, even if it meant taking from some of their own savings.
Even today, I don't even recognize this new name. Call it what?
Minerals Council.
Mineral Council.
They changed the
no, they are Chamber of Mines.
They are Chamber of Mines, yeah.
Finish and clear. They are Chamber of Mines. They can change the name, but their acts and their attitude is still the same.
That of the Chamber of Mines.
The fact of the matter, you need not to forget whose Chamber of Mines is. Chamber of Mines was used as a cannon fodder for workers to come and work in the mines, exploiting workers. In my view, after 1994, Chamber of Mine building should have been a museum.
Sure.
Where all the blacks will go and with our children and show and say, here the rights of your fathers and their dignity was buried and undermined. I don't know why this government is still allowing this. If they can go and break the statues of Cecil Rhodes, why not Chamber of Mine?
Because they actually used to do the actual recruitment.
Exactly. It's a cannon fodder. I mean, the expropriation of land from black people, Chamber of Mine was part of it. Huh? Or introducing all these taxes, Kandampondo, or whatever, and then our fathers and our forefathers have to leave their land and come and work. That's how they force them to come and to be like rats working in the holes. Huh? But they are still sitting there, standing, and our government is still worshipping them.
But they are led by black people now who are...
It's a facade.
Who are mining barons.
Those guys, are captured. They sold their soul to the masters of capitalism, to the altar of capitalism. They are just a sacrificial, animal. There's nothing. They don't control anything at the end of the day.
Can Chamber of Mines be rescued as a center of, if you like, encouraging change in the mining industry?
It need not to be rescued. It need just to bend down. We need not to rescue these things. It's a museum. Look at their attitude towards black mine workers. Workers are still exploited even today. So I don't recognize that thing. I don't know this government, why do they recognize that thing?
Sure.
It's a symbol of pain, of misery. When I pass 6 Holland Street, I look at this place. I remember the first time we started negotiating in gold. I went, they said, we must come and negotiate. I said, it smelled the blood of my fathers and brothers here. The first union who forced Chamber of Mine to go and start the wage negotiations at Beechwood was AMCO. I said, I'm not going to put my feet here and negotiate the conditions of employment in this building. It stinks.
So in terms of this Lily Mine thing, are you aware of anything at all that the chamber has tried to do, tried to intervene? Because in terms of their constitution and so on, these are the sort of things that they're supposed to be worried about. Mining education, mining safety, overseeing the mining industry to have some standard, man.
Remember, Chamber of Mine is like an employer organization. So these mines affiliate to it. So they are controlled by the mines at the end of the day. They don't have much power. So then what would we expect? They cannot do. The responsibilities with the government. The government is a custodian of the minerals. The government delegate their duties. The government is supposed to say, today we are putting money, we're getting, the proper skills to go and retrieve the container. That is what we need. We've got an executive president today. I can give him a benefit of doubt about Cyril Ramaphosa. 3 years ago. 3 years ago, he managed to push an email to break Lonmin strike. So now he is a president. He's got executive power. We don't want him to visit. He can just push one email. I'm telling you, that
it can happen.
It can happen.
You mean even from his own pocket? It's $1 billion.
I even pleaded at, this afternoon, I said, my salary, little as it is, I'm pledging my salary to start a campaign to retrieve the container. I challenge Gwede Mantashe.
This is where I want you to come now. What can we do to get those miners retrieved?
The first thing, they must take the license back to them, declare Section 54, revoke the license. The government must take full responsibility of the mine. And then if they say they don't have mine, we must come with a campaign, as I'm pledging myself, my salary and the executive, and whoever that is willing, who is a really South African, who really, love this country, and respect, black people, put money, business. There are many black multimillionaires in this country.
Absolutely,
They're driving a 3 million, 5 million car. For what? While your brother, your aunt, your son of your aunt is still underground. I challenge you
Yeah.
Joseph Mathunjwa is putting his salary in February to go to these coffers. Come with your money. We cannot wait for the business.
Yeah.
I challenge even other lefties who thinks like me to come with their money. Let's go and retrieve. Let's do it on our own.
So as AMCU opened an account or something, can we do something concrete so that we can call on our viewers to say, we're going to retrieve the Lily money? No point in just going there and highlighting the thing and doing nothing.
Yes.
So maybe if you guys can come back and say, let's have an account,
Thank
right?
you.
Let's publish that account. I'm happy for you to come back here. We launch that account here, and we say to South Africans, anybody who wants something to be done, donate, even if it's the smallest amount, right? So that we get to 200 million and sink that shaft and so on. I see Mashaba said he's going to sue and he's going to get the big lawyers for the families. I'm not sure what the story is, but anything at this point that can help. Let's do something.
Let's bury our differences.
Yeah.
Even with all the trade union, your COSATU, your SAFTU, your FEDUSA, those who belong to the working class will be the one should spearhead this program. Yes, I started. I mean, maybe in the end of the week, we'll be having an account with proper documents. Then I will inform.
Please, 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 as soon as you have it, let us know. We will, at least on this show, make a call on 2 or 3 or 4 occasions, right, to say, here's that account, let's retrieve. There's no way black lives can be treated like this, and we fold our arms and say, oh, well, nobody has opened a case, nobody is wanting to spend the money, and we just fold our arms. I think if there's a citizen action we can demonstrate, let's start with this.
Thank you. Then we will be building our country.
Thank you. We'll be behind you. Please do let us know.
I promise.
As soon as that account is out, let us make sure that within 2 or 3 months, we have reached the 200 million. By the way, one business there in the JSE, just one, can sign this check of 200 million and save us all the pain. But where is the heart? Where is the compassion from these mining companies that are making billions?
When I used to tell people to say, you know, the Bible that I read, John chapter 10, verse 10, is very simple. The thief is to steal, destroy, and kill. That is what he's doing. This is what is happening. They don't care about the lives of people. They're just here to destroy, kill, and steal, and go away.
Let's leave it on that note. Joseph Mathunjwa, it's a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for visiting us.
Thank you very much. God bless you and you with your viewers.
Bless you too, Joseph. All right. I hope that that has triggered your conscience. If you are a South African with a conscience, whatever you can contribute, let us put our hands together on this one and retrieve those 3 miners trapped underground. Let's take a break now.